In this lesson, we'll practice more of the mix-in inheritance concept using light switches. In particular, we'll implement timed lights which turn off after a certain period of time. Navigate to the following URL to get started. Once you see this page, fork the project to get your own editable copy. To do this, click on the project name in the top left to get a dropdown, click on the ellipses to get another dropdown, and finally, click on the fork button. Then, I suggest placing your Skillshare and REPL.it windows side by side as shown here. First, we'll visualize our plan. We have a light already. We will now create a timer light, which subclasses both a timer and a light. Note that we didn't create a generic device class that contains all these abilities. We instead created separate timer and light classes, where each represents an ability, like a mix-in. Highlighted in red are the new classes we'll need to create. Let's start with a timer class. Here is our diagram of what we're creating. After forking your code, your right-hand side should match mine. If I scroll down, you'll see the light class that we created in previous lessons, as well as the old light. At the bottom of your file, we're now going to create a timer. Here we have class timer. In our constructor, we're going to set the time left to 0. So define your constructor, and inside the constructor, we'll define the time left to be 0. Then define a set method, which allows you to start the timer. We'll define set, which takes in an argument with how much time left. Here we'll set the time left to the time requested. We then define a method ring to ring when time is up. We'll define ring, which takes no additional arguments, and will print timer is up. Finally, we'll define an elapse method, which elapses the timer for some amount of time. Here we'll have define elapse, which takes in self as its first argument, and then the time elapsed. First, check if there's any time left on the timer. So if self.left is greater than 0, then subtract the time left. So here we have the time left is equal to the time left minus the time elapsed. However, we need to make sure that this quantity is not negative. In other words, if the time elapsed is greater than the time left, it might be negative. Let's write here max with 0. And this ensures that the time left is always non-negative. Finally, if there's no more time left on the timer, then we should ring. So if self.left is equal to 0, then we should call our ring method. Now we should write our timer light class. Back inside of your code, we're going to create a timer light class. Here we'll have timer light, which inherits from both the light and the timer. The first thing we'll do, here is our diagram of what we're creating. Create your timer light class and subclass both light and timer. So here we'll have timer light, which subclasses both light and timer. Our first step will be to override the set method. So define set, which takes in the time left, and the first lesson here is to respect abstraction barriers. We'll call the parent class's set method. Now, if there's any time left, turn on the light. So if self.left is greater than 0, we should automatically turn on the light. We should also override the ring method. So here we should also override the ring method. So here we'll define ring, which takes in no additional arguments. Call your parent ring method, so we can ring the timer, and then turn off the light, since the timer only rings when time is up. This concludes our timer light. Finally, we'll use our timer light class. Click on the green button at the top to run your code. Then instantiate your timer. Here we'll start the clock with 5 seconds. Timer set 5. Then let's elapse 3 seconds. No ring should occur, and none does. Then we need to elapse 3 more seconds. This time it should ring. Furthermore, the time left should be 0, so let's check. Timer.left is indeed 0 and not negative. Next, let's check our timer light. I'm going to click on this X button to clear my output. Now, instantiate your timer class. Timer light equals to timer light. Do the exact same thing. Start the clock with 5 seconds. Timer light dot set with 5. The timer light should now be on. So let's check. Timer light dot is on, and indeed the light is on. We should then elapse 3 seconds. Timer light.elapse 3. The light should still be on, so let's double check. Timer light.isOn is true. Let's elapse another 3 seconds. We expect a ring and the light should turn off. So timer light elapse 3 seconds. The timer is up. That's our ring. And let's check if the light is on or not. Timer light.isOn. And there we go. For a copy of these slides and the finished code for this lesson, make sure to check out the course website. And that concludes our timer light practice. Next up is another mysterious bug related to inheritance, which you may encounter. Let's see what that mysterious error is and how to deal with it.